So, let's talk about a company that didn't just survive when the rulebook for the entire internet got torn up, it actually thrived. This is a story about what's called algorithmic arbitrage, which is a fancy way of saying they used technology to cash in when things got chaotic. And it all centers around AppLovin's AI engine, Axon 2.0. Let's get into it.
Okay, imagine you're trying to navigate the biggest city in the world, but overnight, somebody takes down every single street sign, every address, and just burns all the maps. That is pretty much exactly what happened in the world of mobile advertising. You see, for about 10 years, advertisers had this magic code on every iPhone called the IDFA. The easiest way to think of it is like a digital license plate. It let them know exactly who saw an ad, and more importantly, who bought something. Then in 2021, Apple basically just flipped a switch. And for most people, those license plates went completely blank. And the fallout from this was, well, it was immediate and it was absolutely massive. Meta, Facebook and Instagram, they projected a staggering $10 billion hit to their revenue. This wasn't just some small tremor. It was a full-blown earthquake that completely shattered the foundations of the digital ad world. This created what the industry started calling signal loss. With all the maps gone, everyone's compass was suddenly broken. So how did things even work before this? And what does this brand new uncharted territory actually look like? Yeah, this really sums it up perfectly. We went from the deterministic world, where you knew with 100% accuracy who saw your ad, to a probabilistic one, where you're basically just guessing. Advertisers went from being surgeons with a scalpel to, I don't know, artists with a blindfold. They were completely flying blind. And the exact moment it all went down was April 2021. That's when Apple released iOS 14.5, which had this new feature called App Tracking Transparency, or ATT for short. With just one simple pop-up, it asks you, the user, for permission to be tracked. And you can guess what happened. Overwhelmingly, we're talking more than 75% of the time, people just said no. So, in this chaotic new world, while giants like Meta were tripping over themselves, one company saw a huge opportunity to draw a completely new map from scratch. And this is where AppLovin enters the picture. Now, what's so fascinating is how the giants get their data. Meta has what you could call the social graph. They know who your friends are. Google has the intent graph. They know what you search for. But AppLovin? They built something totally different. An engagement graph based on how you play games. They had this brilliant insight that the constant stream of data from mobile gaming could actually predict buying habits, even if they had no idea who you were. And the tool they built to read this new map is their secret weapon. It's called AXON. Just think of it as this super powerful AI that can see all these hidden patterns in the chaos of anonymous data. So how does this thing actually work? Well, first, AXON sucks in billions of these non-personal signals, stuff like what kind of phone you have, the time of day, the type of game you're playing. Then its deep neural networks get to work finding these really complex connections that a human could just never spot. And finally, in real time, it spits out a probability, the chance that you will respond to a specific ad, all without ever needing that old digital license plate. And the AI, it's always learning. It's this constant balancing act. On one side, it explores. It's always testing new ads on new audiences just to see what might work and gather more data. On the other side, it exploits. It doubles down hard on what it already knows gets results. It's this constant feedback loop that makes the engine smarter with every single ad it shows. Now, you're probably thinking, an AI focused on gaming? That sounds kind of niche, right? Well, the proof is in the performance, because pretty soon, Axon started pulling in brands from way outside of gaming. We're talking everything from beverages to groceries. Let's take a look at this beverage brand, Brez. They were looking for new places to advertise because costs on Meta and TikTok were just going through the roof. And in a single month, they spent over $380,000 with AppLovin. But here is the real kicker. That wasn't just some small test budget. That amount was nearly 90% of what they spent on Meta during that same time. And this is the key point. For a major brand, AppLovin was no longer an experiment. It was a primary core channel, right up there with the giants. So why does this actually work so well? It works because the stereotype of a mobile gamer is just completely wrong. The average player is not some teenage boy in his basement. Turns out, she's a 38-year-old woman. And in the top casual games, 65% of the players are female. This is the prime demographic for, well, everything. Household goods, beauty products, clothes, you name it. And this is a really big but, AppLovin's incredible rise comes with an equally incredible risk. The very same methods that make AXON so powerful are now under a microscope, leading to a really high-stakes legal showdown. The whole controversy really boils down to this technique called device fingerprinting. Basically, it's where you combine a whole bunch of non-personal data points, like your phone's battery level, its screen brightness, your IP address, and you stitch them together to create a unique signature for a device, even without that official ID. And Apple's position on this? It is crystal clear. They explicitly ban it. Period. Now, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is investigating whether AppLovin's probabilistic methods cross that line. And if they decide it does, the consequences could be existential. It could threaten their very presence on the App Store. But even with all that risk, AppLovin isn't hitting the brakes. They're already looking beyond the phone and aiming for the biggest screen in your house, your TV. Their game plan really has two major parts. First, they bought a company called Whirl, and they're using it to bring Axon's style of advertising to connected TV. And second, they're jumping into generative AI, building systems that don't just place the best ad, but can actually create it from scratch, right on the fly. Which really just leaves us with this one massive question. Is what AppLovin built the new operating system for the open internet, a brilliant solution for this new privacy-first era? Or is it just a super sophisticated, clever workaround that's living on borrowed time before Apple or the regulators finally catch up? The answer isn't just going to define AppLovin's future, it could very well shape the next decade of the entire digital economy.